So I wanted to do a series of videos on filters, aquarium filters, and to be honest, I'm kind of a filter junkie. I have a bunch of different hang-on back and canister filters. So I wanted to do a series of videos talking about these filters and the pros and cons and the various reasons why I like or dislike certain filters and why. So stay tuned for these videos, and we'll start on the first one here with AquaClear. So unfortunately, I don't have a brand new AquaClear to open for you, but I do have this AquaClear 70 that used to be on the 40 breeder at one point. So it's used, but we can open this one up just to show you what comes in the box. So we've got the filter, of course, the lid, and the actual filter itself. And then you got, of course, your intake tubes here, your elbow, and two downs depending on how long your tank is. When I got the motor taken off, it would usually be connected when you get it in the box, and this just goes down right on here, and that has your impeller inside of it. So pretty simple. Then you got a media basket, so you can easily lift your media in and out if you're not taking the whole filter off the tank to clean it, which is nice. And it comes with a box with media all ready to go. So firstly, you get a sponge that would go down on the bottom for mechanical filtration. You have biological media. This is Biomax, which is decent stuff. And of course, a pack of carbon. It also comes with a little media bag and a clip if you want to use that to zip all this stuff together. So ordinarily you would put your sponge down here at the bottom for mechanical filtration, and then these you can put in whatever order, maybe chemical, and then your biological on top. And you would take that and just slide it in here. And that's what you get with the AquaClear. So now it's time to talk about some of the pros and cons of the AquaClear series from Fluval, previously from Hagen. Now the first pro I'm going to talk about is media space. So the basket of this filter has a ton of space for you to put whatever you want. You can put what it comes with, or you can customize it to your own liking, and it has more room, in my opinion, than most of the other filters I've ever seen on the market as far as hang-on backs are concerned. This next one might be a little controversial, but to me it looks really good. It's just a nice looking filter. I like the clear design. I like the way it sits on the tank. It sits low on the rim of the tank, so it doesn't detract from the overall appearance of your tank. I think that's a real positive when you're talking about a filter that sits on your tank all the time and you're looking at it all the time. Also, it's pretty quiet. As you'll see, this is also sort of a con, but in general, if these filters are properly maintained, they are quiet filters and you shouldn't have too many issues with them being loud or anything like that. Also, they're really efficient, so they're not going to tax your electricity bill very heavily. So if you're trying to be frugal, it's definitely a filter that will fit that bill. Now, as far as cons go, this goes along with being quiet. The lid can rattle, and in my experience, especially on the larger AquaClears, so 70 and higher up to 110, they can get kind of noisy if the lid rattles, and especially if they get clogged up. The lid does have a tendency to rattle. You can put your finger down on it, and usually it'll stop, but it may come back, and that might be bothersome for some people. Also, the plastic is a bit fragile, so it can crack or break. I have personally broken one trying to shove it a little too hard down on top of the tank that it wasn't fitting on nicely. So the plastic is a little bit fragile, and maybe more so than some of the other filters on the market, like this one. Cleaning can be a little bit difficult, especially if you have to take it up off the tank. You have to take the motor off the bottom of the filter and clean out the housing that the impeller sits in, and that can be kind of a chore. And along with that, it does tend to clog a little easy, especially if you have it full of sponge. And I used to pack mine full of 3 sponges instead of putting a sponge and biological media. So if you're doing that, they can clog rather quickly, and you're probably going to be maintaining them at least on a weekly basis. Also, along with that, there is an overflow on the AquaClears, and when they do clog, it does tend to put quite a bit of flow through the overflow. And also along with that, I have had an AquaClear get too clogged, and it's mostly my fault, but you should be mindful of this and maintain your filter. I have had an AquaClear spill over the back because it was too clogged and the water level got too high, and it drained about a quarter or 30% of that particular tank when I came down in the morning and noticed it. So you should be mindful of that and make sure that you're cleaning your filter. Now, this could be a con for some. It also does not have a pump in the water of the tank. So some modern hang-on back filters, and we'll talk about some of those in further videos, have the pump in the water and sending the water through the intake back into the box. So it's essentially self-priming. AquaClears do not have that. The motor sits outside of the tank, so you're going to be priming this filter every time you turn it on. And along with that too, some people claim that if the power cuts out, sometimes their AquaClear doesn't restart when the power kicks back on. I have not personally had that problem. Granted, the power here does not go out that often, but when it has, I have not found that they did not restart. They've always been running when I come down to the basement to check. So that's not a con for me, but if you live in an area that has a lot of power outages, you might notice that your AquaClears aren't restarting when the power comes back on. So that might be something to be mindful of. So just for the sake of clarity, I have 2 AquaClears currently running in my fish room. This AquaClear 50 is just a polisher on this 40-gallon breeder, so I have Purigen running through the AquaClear because I don't want to bust into the canister filter just to change Purigen. So I run this AquaClear 50 on top of the 40 breeder. And the AquaClear 50 is actually my favorite size of AquaClear. And over here on this 20 long, the primary filter is an AquaClear 30. I like the AquaClear 30s pretty well also. And so the AquaClear 30 primarily filters this 20 long, and it does a pretty good job of it. And I just have a piece of foam and some Biomax in this particular filter. So I do personally use these filters, and I do like them. So here we are. Is the AquaClear really the best hang-on back filter you can buy? Well, it's a difficult question, and I think the answer is yes and no. I know that's not completely satisfying, but I think if you have smaller tanks, like 10, 5, 20 gallons, maybe even a 29, I think an AquaClear, or a 40 breeder for that matter maybe, an AquaClear is an excellent choice to filter your tank. I think the best ones are the smaller filters. So I think if we're saying, is it the best filter? Yes, maybe it is, but for smaller tanks. I think once you start getting into the bigger tanks, and I know a lot of people like AquaClear 70s and AquaClear 110s for bigger tanks. I think there's better options to filter your tank when you start getting into the larger tanks. But for the small tanks, I think AquaClear has made a reputation of being one of the best hang-on back filters you can buy. They're reliable, they last a long time, so it's a decent value for your money, and it's going to give you a long life of filtering the aquarium, which is, after all, what it's supposed to do. So I think in that sense, it is one of the best filters. Other filters have more bells and whistles than the AquaClear. The AquaClear is an old design. but at the same time, it's tried and true, and people like it, and it's definitely a fan favorite, and I think for a lot of good reasons. So is AquaClear the best hang-on back filter? It just might be. So we'll have to stay tuned to see some other reviews of some of these other hang-on back filters, and then maybe at the end we can kind of compare notes about which ones we think are the best. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. Anything would help. So thank you for being here. Thanks for watching.